Screw this.
I mean, I'm okay with that. Let's talk about cartoons. Let's talk about Centaur World. Let's talk about Project Deco. Let's do it. Let's do it. Welcome
I
everyone to
want
the live stream this week. I want to thank Oni Kuno, Sean again for joining us, and Gavin. Sean, how are you feeling from this game this weekend? I'm gonna
I
get
know
right
this.
to it. How you feeling?
Okay, so you probably have never seen this movie, and Gavin, neither of you. Any of you have seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, starring Steve Martin and John Candy?
I have not.
If your dad was here, he probably would have seen it. Okay, so classic holiday film starring the legendary Steve Martin and the late John Candy. It's about a guy, traveling salesman, and he's trying to get home to see his family for Thanksgiving. And on his travels, planes, trains, automobiles, planes, trains, like everything goes wrong. He ends up running into John Candy, who's also traveling, and and they end up becoming kind of like road trip buddies for whatever reason. And it's a whole disaster. Flights are canceled. They got to take a train instead, or trying to get a rental car, and they don't have a rental car. And Steve Martin says the F word. It's hilarious, and there's a gay panic scene between Steve Martin and John Candy. Everything is going nuts and insane. But at the end of the movie, they get to where they're supposed to go. That's how I feel about Oklahoma football right now. Preseason, I expected them to be 5-0 at this point. But we took the planes, trains, and automobiles route to get there. And we almost ended up having gay sex with John Candy. I don't know how. We came close. Almost happened. But we're 5-0. So that's how I feel right now. Overall.
I mean, first off, that was a pretty good analogy of like I think of it like the D&D route where I have players who are chaotic good, and you're going to get to that point. It's not going to be at all what I've had planned or what the group has, but you'll get to that finish line. It just may take a lot of railroading to get to that point. That's kind of how I feel. We're 5-0. It could be a lot worse, and the entire college football world wants us to lose.
I got another analogy for you. You'll get this one. So you read the end of Fishman Island in One Piece, right?
Yeah.
So you remember when the old wise fisher says, "Oh, you're going to need this new log pose to travel the new world because this log pose has 3 different needles, and so it'll give you whichever one will tell you which route to take." And it's like the one that's more active is like the more dangerous route. It's like, don't say that out loud. And of course, Luffy hears and he wants to go the more dangerous route because he's the captain and he makes the choice. We took the most dangerous route to get to 5-0. But we're still 5-0 at the end of the day.
I mean,
so that one probably makes sense.
That one does make a lot of sense. And I mean, if we're really, really thinking about it too, we're only a couple plays off from probably being 2-3. Let's be honest. I mean,
but we're a couple plays off, and that went the other way, and we're 5-0. So,
yeah.
And look, here's the deal. Every time I see a tweet, we're at like a record-setting pace for ranked teams losing this early in the season, and I'm like, we're still 5-0, baby. Woo! I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying everyone else suffer, and we're just hanging out. And Oklahoma is slowly becoming the team that's going to annoy everybody else. They just don't lose. You think, oh, this is the week this can happen. This is going to happen. Then they don't lose. So,
I mean, that's what we get for playing with the monkey paw. I mean, we said we wanted to not have to score on every possession. Well, that didn't work out right on it because we got the defense, but now we have to score because I think everybody's figured out just squat on the ball and only give us 5 possessions. Force us.
But that hasn't worked either. So you can try that if you want, but
well, it goes against them too. Those 9-minute drives, they're only getting it a couple times.
So, Gavin, how do you feel? I feel we should involve you in this. I feel bad.
Oh man,
you're making One Piece references.
I'll just say this: I have never seen or watched One Piece, so I'm kind of feel like I'm the odd man out on it. So you guys probably know that stuff a lot better than I do. I'll just say this, and this was kind of one thing that I think, look at it, if anything, it's like, you know, the problem is, it's like I usually take each game week by week. I've always done that though, and I think the one thing that really annoyed me was like, why was there not a set of eyes on number 22 at all times? That's kind of how I felt like all game on with Deuce Vaughn.
Oh, but there were many sets of eyes on him, but they were watching him. They were watching him go that way.
Yeah, it was like.
Believe me, they were watching. I promise you.
I know, but it was just like the amount of times, like there was like a couple times where it was like third down, and he basically slithers them in for a first down. That's just how I felt this entire game. It was like you had him in the right there, and you basically give him the first down. That's kind of how I felt. I feel like I was more frustrated with our effort, for our defense getting off the field and basically converting on third and fourth downs. That's kind of how I felt with the defense.
I mean, our linebackers were completely out of place. Our defensive line, once in a while, got some pressure, but they were cutting off Perrin Winfrey at the knees all day. He was not happy. He was a very unhappy camper. So they were doing everything they can to. And I've said it before. I said it in my videos. Is like someone's going to find a way to coach around this D line, and Chris Kleiman was the guy to do that. So now Reggie Grimes is a beast, and Nick Benito is really good. And at some point, there's only so much you can do to hold them off for so long. But as crazy as this game was, the Purple Menace was defeated. Texas did the same thing. They defeated their Purple Menace, who they've had way more trouble with than we've had with K-State.
2-7, since 2012, by the way.
Absolutely.
They found a way. Just giving the ball to Bijan Robinson 60 times a game was a brilliant move. It was 35. But, like running the football was not really K-State's strength. It was, getting guys open in the, just dumping off some screens into the flats. It was more, that's where Deuce Vaughn got all of his yards. It wasn't just straight handoff running the ball. He's not going to run up the gut against that front. They had to get him out in space.
That's not who Deuce Vaughn is anyway.
No, he's Ice Shield 21. It's another reference nobody gets, but
I understood that reference.
Kind of. But literally, Deuce Vaughn is Ice Shield 21. If you just read a chapter or two, you'll understand.
But something to give credit for too, they exploited our secondary big time, and we really missed Turner Yell. I mean, I really wish.
You know what?
I really do.
Justin Broyles played well in that game till he got hurt. So
yeah.
So like the problem is that Key Lawrence makes a catch. We stop the drive. Jaden Davis makes a catch. We stop another drive. Like right to them. Like Key Lawrence should have had that pick. Jaden Davis should have had that. Like maybe Jaden Davis, but still, you got to make those plays. 2 plays changes everything, and we're looking at a very comfortable win. We probably should have had a comfortable win. We could have had a 10-point victory, take a few knees, but we get a ticky-tack personal foul on Tyrese, and Riley lit into him, and rightfully
as
so.
he should. Tyrese had 4. How many penalties did he have?
He had 2 false.
I
know he had 2 false starts, as far as I know, and then of course you got that personal foul, and then I think he got a holding call.
Listen. I can live on the false starts. Got to go. I can live with the occasional holding. I can live, believe it or not, even though it means more penalty wise, yardage wise. I can live with a holding more than false start is just
That's
you're
undisciplined.
You're not there. I can live with the holding. I can even live with a personal foul at times, depending on the situation. I want you to play hard. I want this to matter to you. So he was fired up. So I can forgive Tyrese a little bit. It didn't cost us the game at the end. That kickoff return was oh, we're gonna do this now. Oh, it can't end peacefully ever. Peace was never an option. Wanye Morris, when it comes to run blocking, is a game changer. Pass blocking, to be determined. Run blocking, we can run the ball with Wanye Morris at left tackle.
Yeah.
Anton Harrison, I don't know what you do there. Just bookend tackles right now is kind of
It's questionable.
It's like you don't know what you're gonna get every week.
Yeah, I felt like if anything, like this week's blocking, they didn't really do like their traditional like guard tackle pulls like they usually do. It felt more like of a zone blocking scheme.
I like that too because we're finally doing something to get the running game going.
Yeah, so I think I think they finally changed their approach on like with that offensive line. It's like, okay, this guard tackle combination that's not working. Let's try the zone blocking and everything, and that sort of kind of what made the running game a little bit more successful this time.
And and they fed the rock to Kennedy Brooks, and
finally
outside of one like big tackle for loss, he would have had 100 yards on the day.
Yeah.
It would have been the greatest day in the history of OU running backs, but regardless, it would be the greatest day in NCAA football history if someone did that. But the point of the matter is that you got to hand him the rock. Keep Eric Gray. You got to get him in open space to make plays. I'm not saying he can't run the ball, but at some point you got to get him involved down the road. Jeremiah Hall getting some touches and finally getting him involved was good.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing we haven't really talked about, and I've talked about this like ad nauseum in the past like 36 hours, it seems. For the first time this year, that's not a garbage pay-per-view FCS team that we played against. I watched that game, and it's like I felt like I had confidence in the offense. I had confidence in the quarterback, the play calling. I felt like, we can march down the field and score whenever we want. And it's just like once we started doing that, it's like, okay, we're doing this now. Like we're getting Mims the ball. Rattler looked night and day when it came to pocket presence, making decisions, when to tuck and run.
Yeah.
For the past few weeks, like he had great stat lines. And he also had great stat lines here too. He had he completed 88% of his passes, but the difference was
22 of 25. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, he looked like the confident Spencer Rattler we saw post Texas last year for one game, and people screaming about his pick on 3rd and 17. And I'm like,
that was like a punt, though, almost.
That's my point. It's like, if you're gonna, interceptions are bad. I get that. But if you're gonna throw a pick in that situation or whatever, they picked it off at the 6. So, how everyone's yelling at DJ Graham a few weeks ago to knock the ball down? Maybe do the same, obviously.
The only minor nitpick I had on it, I didn't have a problem with the INT, but it just felt like it switched momentum again. It seemed like it was a momentum killer at the time.
Well, this was another point though too. That pick actually came off that double tap, if you remember, which and I'm not going to be kidding you. There was a lot of hate, basically, on that review process. It was I'm going to just say this. I've heard so much of people from Twitter and some of the Discord servers I've heard that, the refs just basically gave it to Oklahoma. And I'm just going to say this. I feel like, at the end of, I'm just going to say this. The call was right and everything, but the process of it, what was messy more than anything.
Which call, though? Because they're mad about 2 of them very specifically.
Okay, it was the double tap, the onside kick, where he basically
Lincoln Riley's not allowed to challenge that. Yes, he is. Get over it. It was the right call at the end of the day. Deal with it.
Oh, it absolutely was.
I agree with the right call. I think it was just like the whole process of it was just sort of
Lincoln Riley's not allowed to challenge it. Is all I saw on Twitter today. So
yeah. But like I said, I'm just glad. I mean, look, I don't care. Look, if you're not an OU fan or OU fan or just a football fan in general or anything, call was right at the end, and they actually got it. Because there's actually, I think, like a little quirk in the rule, like it says if there's like an obvious error that was missed or something like that, they can double check it and say, "Oh yeah, we were screwed up on our end."
Well, Riley was able to challenge it because he wasn't challenging whether it went 10 yards. He challenged a very specific part. Hey, did he kick the ball twice? That's what I'm challenging. Try to put that in the new NCAA football video game in a few years. So. But yeah, like I didn't realize that. I was kind of like stuck on, okay, did he touch it before 10? And then everyone in my chat, someone in my chat's like, no, he kicked it twice. And I'm like, because I have to listen to the volume very low when I do my streams, because I have it set up with sound and everything feeds through. So it's very low. So maybe the broadcasting was saying it. And I look at that, I'm like, oh, that ball did bounce on the bottom of his foot. It changed direction a second time. So,
okay. Yeah, you know how you have, like, if you basically, like, double tap it in golf, though, where it's, like, a 2-stroke penalty, I believe, that's kind of what it felt like, if anything.
Golf is for which elite white men, and I hate them all. No, I'm kidding. But no, I get what you're saying. yeah, it's a 2-stroke penalty, and usually someone on the phone watching at home, if somebody misses it, will call up and make sure they tell them they're not allowed to do that. I love those people.
Well, and something to add about the kick too is at the end of the day, that was the right call. OU fans would have rioted again if we would have been screwed on an onside kick. And the flip side of it, though, too, is, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know the rule completely, and the refs can go back and look at it as much as they want to. Someone found it on Twitter where it was a subsection rule where it's like, if we get new information prior to the snap, we can go look at it again, guys. This isn't did the ball go 10 yards? We're looking at the entire play. So I'm sorry, K-State fans, they got the call right.
You said my team sucked 10 years ago. Well, you're wrong now. They're good. Or it's always those people. It's like, well, yeah, your team did suck 10 years ago, but it's different now.
Yeah, well, like I said, they got the call right. That's what mattered, and sure, they got the interception from it. But
and then Kleiman, who has no respect for our defense, just goes for it on 4th and 13 because he's like, I have to score now because I'm not getting another chance at this. And thankfully, guy traps the ball barely, just enough where it hits the ground, or else it's like, it's one of those days.
Yeah.
But the Skylar Thompson, though,
Yeah.
that
he's
guy,
a baller.
he's working. He has one working leg and he can't run, and everyone's frustrated that our D line can't get pressure. And Kleiman is just a scary dude to play against, and I'm so glad we're getting out of this conference. We'll probably play him one more time next year when they come back to Norman.
No, I think he was like a 6-year senior or something. Was he?
Like, there's so many super seniors around. I think that like the whole all college football deal with super seniors. Like, Arkansas is full of them. Of course, they didn't help on Saturday. Jeez,
They got steamrolled.
Oh.
Georgia literally sneezed on him, and they were done.
They had some nice fried bacon this morning.
Oh my goodness, yeah, they got steamrolled. With Kleinman, I'm not a fan of Kleinman personally. I think he's kind of a dick, but to his credit, bro knows how to coach. I think if he had some better players, he already would have won some natties at this point. I really do believe.
I mean, didn't he when he was on the FCS level?
No, I'm talking FBS, not FCS.
I was like, guys won some natties as far as I'm concerned. Like,
yeah,
it ain't easy to win on that level either.
No, it isn't.
Well, he had the dynasty with North Dakota State, of course, but I'm thinking more of. I feel like he's going to be at an Ohio State or a USC at some point. Sure as hell won't be Urban Meyer.
Oh gosh, that video surface of him. That was.
Is that actually him?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's him.
Okay, so it's it's confirmed.
That's
okay.
confirmed.
I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just some guy who kind of looked like Urban Meyer. It's like, okay, I could be just some dude. But
As far as I'm aware, it is him, and they confirmed it.
He's got some random blonde like sitting on his lap at a bar, which is just awkward.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
man, he's gonna have a heart attack that takes him to USC.
Jeez.
The one thing I will say about this game, though, is this is something I was thinking about yesterday evening. This is kind of the most complete OU has played, though, this entire season. Yeah, we've had some weaknesses here and there, but as a complete package, this is kind of what I was expecting them to do against Nebraska a couple weeks ago. It's just weird that they're here.
I mean, the offense probably played their most complete game. The defense didn't.
No, I'm talking as a whole. As a whole, I figured with the defense there was going to be some holes, and it's unfair to have them lights out every single game. Like that's just unrealistic expectation.
I mean,
but the same thing is like Rattler. So
yeah, and I want to bring this up with Rattler. I felt like with a lot of his plays, they did a lot of rollouts with him too, where he was moving away from the pocket, and that's where he became more dangerous.
Well, he did a lot of that last year too. He was able to get outside and and make some things happen.
If you look at like the last couple weeks, they pretty much was keeping him in pocket for the most part. I mean, I couldn't even remember like a lot of times where he did roll out. They just mostly like kept him in the pocket mostly. That's where, that was not the strength of Rattler's game. He's much more dangerous when you have him rolling out of the pocket.
Well, yeah, and West Virginia had a decent front, and Nebraska size wise is just a big physical team. But just overall, like Rattler has always been. I mean, his completion percentage and all that's been great. It just hasn't been for any explosive plays very often. And yesterday, like he threw some darts yesterday that were like damn good plays on 3rd and long. I mean, extremely long, where he made some like one play to Drake. Like, future New England Patriot Drake Stoops. He's gonna
solid.
He's gonna be a Patriot. He looks like a Bill Belichick. You're an undrafted free agent. Come try out, and you're gonna make the team. And then it'll be Mac Jones' new favorite target next year, or the year after, however that's gonna go.
Yeah,
but it was good. Got Mims involved early. Marvin Mims was allowed to catch the football in the first half. It was amazing.
I have speaking of Mims, I have a theory on that. Do you think he could have been hurting this entire time when he got hit? I think it was Western Carolina square in the chest. He hadn't been involved until now. I do think maybe he had some lingering pain, I guess, with it, and they just used him as a distraction. I don't want to throw some random rumors out. It was just something that occurred to me.
I had never heard of that. Although, did you hear? Although I don't know if you guys saw this. I guess Mims's dad was on social media and basically was posting.
That's nice.
Something had to change.
That's
before
nice.
The game.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried about players' fathers. Like we were supposed to be worried about Kyler's dad. Remember that? We were supposed to be worried about Kyler's dad. Not a peep from him about anything. So. Hell, I saw Kyler's dad at the Orange Bowl just wandering around. He wasn't like throwing fits or screaming. I just happened to like, oh, that's Kyler's dad. I recognize him from the pictures the Aggie fans said I was supposed to worry about.
Speaking of the Aggies,
they're not ranked anymore, and I am smiling.
They did their traditional roller coaster of Ferk.
And neither is Clemson.
And they won last night too, and they were about to lose that game if BC doesn't fumble a snap. My God, they were driving down with a chance to win. They were like just outside the 10, and just a bad snap by the center and a fumble by the QB, and they just pick it up. I'm like, it figures. But
absolutely,
that like again, everybody anytime I see people complain about OU, is like, you have no idea how much like other teams are suffering worse than us right now when it comes to like crappy years. Or it's like I see people like rip our defense like every day. I see comments, our defense is terrible. It's like there was one guy today who
fine.
I miss Mike Stoops because at least he got off the field for time. It's like, what are you talking about?
He got off the field because they scored against us.
Yeah, that's why we got off the field. And I'm just looking at it's like we're 5-0. And like, I was wondering today if anyone was going to be legitimately mad about Cincinnati being ranked above us, because I really don't care if they are, because it doesn't matter right now. It's like we won and we didn't move down this time. Some people looked at our score and said, "Oh, they're struggling again today." I was like, I could tell you didn't watch the football game, but that's fine.
Yeah, well, and that's something to keep in mind too. It doesn't matter who's 3-4 right now, because we're still too early from this. Until we get past Texas, it's not going to really matter. And it's the Alabama-Georgia show. Like, I can't get over that. They're good.
Well, they woke up on Saturday and like I joked about wouldn't it be really funny if like Ole Miss and Arkansas won and that was like 1-2 next week, and they were like, no, it wouldn't be funny. We're just gonna go ahead and beat. Like, I'm not surprised Georgia beat Arkansas or dominated Arkansas. I'm actually not that. I mean, shutting them out was like, whoa, they shut them out. That's pretty bad. Because I thought, okay, Bama's going to beat Ole Miss, but it'll be competitive. No, it's not competitive. The final score doesn't even reflect it being that competitive. It was like I barely watched the game because I had it on the background behind me because I was doing OK State, and I kept turning around. It's like, okay, I was like, okay. Ugh. Oh. I mean, it was just it sounded like it was a very methodical, slow win for Bama at the end of the day at home. And this is the team that like got into a track meet with them last year in Oxford. So it's early. It looks this is the narrative for Bama and Georgia. They're going to meet in the SEC title game, and it'll be the most meaningless SEC title game ever because it doesn't matter who wins or loses. They're both going to be in the playoff. They're the greatest teams ever. So that narrative is going full speed ahead starting tomorrow on Feinbaum and other shows like it. So assuming they get there, we have a lot of football left to be played. I don't know if they're going to lose to anybody or who's like capable. Kentucky beat Florida for the first time since like Jesus like walked on water. Congratulations to Kentucky. I don't think they're good. I don't think they're good enough to. I don't think they're good enough to beat Georgia. Auburn.
They snuck out of that.
I mean, LSU's not that good either right now. So it just looks like on paper, as long as both those teams are healthy, I don't like. Alabama is going to. They're going to do a lot of R-rated things to Texas A&M next week. It's not going to be pretty.
I mean, that's okay because it's Texas A&M.
Oh, and I listen. I predicted a lot of things in the offseason. That was one of them. Regardless of how the season went, Alabama was going to destroy A&M. Boy, does that look very, very likely next week.
Do you think over under 75 points that they're going to throw on them?
Oh, I hope they do what we did to them in 2003 at this point. I hate them. I hate Texas A&M. I hate their fans. I think they're all crazy people. Like I genuinely hate those people. I really do. Like I'm cordial with Alabama fans. Like they can be arrogant, cocky, but so are we when we're winning. Like what's the difference? Like we have the same. We literally have the same school colors for the most part. It's like so. Be arrogant, cocky all you want. Your team's good, but A&M like they like. You won a COVID Orange Bowl and you celebrate it like as the greatest thing you ever accomplished. Finish top 4. Woo! Like that's your best you've done ever? That's what it's like. Top 4. We should have been in the playoff. You got hammered by Alabama. Hammered.
Yeah.
You didn't have a prayer. We should be in over Notre Dame. No, you shouldn't. We had a better argument than you. We had lost 2 games. So it's just it's like again, you have a mausoleum, you waste perfectly good electricity on a scoreboard for dead dogs. You psycho people.
And hey, let's not forget too. To his credit, and it's not my joke, it's Andrew's joke, but Jimbo got away with murder getting that contract extension.
Oh God! Like with no, and there's no buyout on his end either. Apparently, they were so desperate for their new head coach because Aggies love to say we have a national championship winning coach. You know who else had one? South Carolina when they hired Lou Holtz. South Carolina when they hired Steve Spurrier.
North Carolina with Mac Brown.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're closer than A&M.
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned.
Mac Brown knew how to take care of A&M, but
they remember
like, at some point they're going to have to fill that trophy that they had, that gift to
No,
Jimbo.
they're not. They can fill it with like to be continued if they want to.
They're going to have to scratch out Jimbo's name.
I mean, It's Jimbo's name. They can put Big Bird's name on it for all I care. It's not going to matter at the end of the day. They're not going to win. As far as I'm concerned, when we join the league in a year or two, we should kick them out. We should export them to the Sun Belt. Because let's just say Kyle, it's so funny because they're not just getting clowned by fans and Twitter. Like Fowler, Herbstreit, and the Bear, someone in the car when they were driving to the airport, were ripping on A&M. It said, "Is Kyle Field really that daunting?" These are the faces of play-by-play in college football. Herbstreit, the face of college football analysts, saying, Is Kyle Field really that daunting of a place? Have they ever won a big game there? It's they're being clowned on by the faces of play-by-play and color commentary, and Bear, who's an Iowa State stan. It's just so funny to watch this. I love it. Schadenfreude is not a strong enough word in this to use. I'm enjoying every second of it. Enjoying it. Love it. I hope they lose 4 or 5 games this year. It'll be hilarious.
Right now they're exactly what they've always been. They're on track, like you said, to lose 4 or 5 games. They always get there. What's it called? It's the running joke. It's like the Texas A&M roller coaster. Preseason hype, we're the best things ever. September, and then here comes October. Every single year. Last year, I think, or the year before that, was when they lost in September. They said, "No, we're getting the roller coaster out of the way early." It's every year. A&M
they're gonna get destroyed in prime time, and it's gonna be so great.
And let's be honest, their best win was against Alabama. It wasn't even on their home field. It was in Tuscaloosa.
I mean, yeah. Again, and OU has a more recent win over Bama than Texas A&M, and they're in the SEC conference.
It's true. I almost cracked that joke until I was like, oh, it was just a year off when Iowa State was on their high horse earlier in the year, and I wanted to crack the joke of we've beaten Iowa more recently than y'all have, but it was by just a year that they were able to beat Iowa, right after our bowl game. So
are you talking about the Insight Bowl? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where the sky cam fell down and almost killed one of our players. Yeah, that was
yeah.
And then Mike Stoops was on the sideline. Everyone got real excited about Mike coming back, and then oh, we regret that decision. Nepotism was not a good idea, Bob.
No, it was not. It was that was a poor life choice that we all had to live with. And
I'm gonna bring back my brother. I'm gonna bring back my brother who hasn't evolved when it comes to playing defense.
All right. Speaking of that, there was something. Where did the narrative? And I'm not gonna say the name because I don't want to headhunt or anything like that. Where did the narrative come from late last night? Of I'd rather have a good win season than make it to the playoff and lose.
Oh,
that come from?
That was one of those SEC network people, and the one guy whose opinion I care about, who's saying that who's on that side is Josh McCuistion at Scoop.
Yeah, I didn't want to headhunt or anything like that, but I thought it was just the dumbest.
No, but I respect his take on it and everything. But it's here's the problem with that. At the end of the day, is it great that we go to the playoff? We've gone to the playoff a few years and gotten our heads kicked in. No, nobody wants that. And no, it doesn't score points with recruits, but at the end of the day, it's I've looked at our recruiting rankings lately. I've looked at 22. I've looked at 23 right now, which is just trending upwards as we speak. We're about to get a commitment from Gabe Dindy a week from Tuesday, another number 1 player in the state of Florida. So clearly it hasn't hurt recruiting that much. That being said, it's Josh, is there McCuistion, is there anything good? Is there anything good about losing in the playoff? No. But from a fan perspective, from a player perspective, I'm talking about the guys who are in the locker room now, not the guys who are thinking about where they're going to go to school. The guys in the locker room. You think Baker Mayfield would be yeah, you know what? Let's don't go play Georgia. Let's just sit back. Let's go play in, let's go play in the Orange Bowl or something. Let's go, let's go to the Fiesta Bowl or something. We'll play against a decent Big Ten opponent. We'll get a nice win. No, you don't want that crap. Now, if that's the game he has to go play in because that's what they're sent, he'll go play his butt off. But if you're asking what he wants to do, he's like, I want to go play the best team. Kyler Murray would say the same thing. Jalen Hurts would say the same thing. So again, you can rip my team. You can rip our team for like getting our heads kicked in the playoff all you want. And you can talk about like what a negative recruiting advantage a deterrent it is, but I've looked at recruiting rankings for 2023. Malachi Nelson doesn't seem to mind. Kai Lemon doesn't seem to mind. Brandon Ennis doesn't seem to mind. DeAndre Moore doesn't seem to mind. So Gabe Dindy in a week from Tuesday isn't going to mind. Gentry Williams apparently doesn't seem to mind. So there's other factors that are like, listen, if that was the only factor, obviously we're not going to have many high-rating recruiting classes. Does it count for something? Sure. And maybe in those really close races with an Ohio State or Alabama, it might matter. But guess what? We're still winning some of those battles anyway. So even this year, like listen, this is not a national title team right now, anywhere close.
No,
but if they win all their games and they win the Big 12 and they're undefeated at the end of the year by some grace of God, I still want to go to the playoff. I still want a shot. I still want a chance where, you know what, my God, Savion Byrd, a true freshman, hypothetically, Savion Byrd from Texas on, in practice, he's getting really good. He's starting to get the system. He hasn't had any reps yet in live. You know what? If we had to put him in a game at like right tackle, I think we could do that. Or, you know what? Just Nick Benito's got a sprained ankle this week. You know what? Like, Clayton, he's a true freshman. He's starting to come along a little bit. He could take Benito's spot in rotation potentially behind Reggie Grimes. There's little things here and there. Bryson Washington, it finally clicked for him. He's starting to get it really. Those are the things. Teams get better over the year. You don't know who in practice is going to take that giant leap over the course of a year. And then you get into bowl practices. And then you hear, dude, so this Ethan Downs kid, it's going to be impossible to keep him off the field as a starter next year. We got to make this happen. Boom. So those are the things, like the tiny little things, the little bit of momentum that you can get if you can keep winning, finding ways to win. Because remember, Hollywood Brown, we all love Hollywood Brown, right? Made a big diving touchdown catch today for the Ravens. Remember all those big plays he made against Ohio State? Oh, wait, he didn't. He wasn't a factor at all until after Texas.
It was Bedlam.
Yeah.
When he
like
really
Bedlam is when I was like when all of a sudden Hollywood Brown, who is this kid? Like those are the moments, those are the things that could potentially happen. And if you have a zero in your loss column and all of a sudden you have another X factor on any side of the ball,
players emergent. Well, and that's where I was thinking with Josh's mention on that, where half of me was like, it makes it sound as way worse than it was, because in 19 everybody was going to be skull crushed by LSU. It's not. There's no shame in losing to LSU on that. And then in 2018 it was just a heartbreaker, but there's no shame in losing to good teams. I just don't understand that mentality. And going back what you told it to me a couple years ago, you can't be scared to face the big dogs. You can't.
No, and Josh McCuistion's the same guy. And listen, I love him. I love what he does. He's really good at what he does. But he's the same guy who will tell you whenever OU would drop a game to somebody, whether it was like Iowa State or those because everyone freaks out about recruiting. Oh my God, we're gonna lose all our recruits. They're all gonna decommit because we lost to Kansas State or Iowa State. Oh my God. Josh McCuistion would be the guys that, recruits, the guys, they don't all go undefeated and win state championships. They understand. They lose games too. They get it. So I understand he's talking about on the highest level for some of the highest level guys. That's what he's talking about. But it's just, you can't let that deter, it's such a college football thing. Only in college football will anyone utter the sentence, you know what? It's better you lost that game and don't have a chance to play for a title. It's better to root for this team to have a nice year in a little bowl game. Like, college football's getting away from that. And I'm glad it's getting away from that. Like, the 12-team playoff is on like the back burner for a minute, but it seems likely the contract is going to play out to the very end at this point. It's not going to be 23, maybe 24. I mean, that's bad luck if you're the Pac-12 or the ACC or any other group of five.
Yeah.
But it's like we're slowly moving away from that mindset of like, oh, we're going to have a nice season and win a nice bowl game. You know, that's really, it's like big business. It's a big sport. Like, you want to compete for the championship. So I want to be the playoff every year. When it expands, like, great. Even if we're not top 4 seed, okay, we'll host a playoff game in Norman. We'll beat someone up and move on to the next round. I'm ready for it. So
well, and that's the trade-off you're getting with that 12-team playoff, because going back to that mentality of the players, they get it. Yeah, they absolutely get, like, you're not going to be running every year. That's just not possible. It's not, unless you're Alabama. That doesn't count. But the current thing right now with the bowl games with like the New Year Six, that's that consolation prize. But you eliminate that when you get to the 12-team playoff. Like, yeah,
but it's not a consolation. It's not a consolation prize anymore. Like, it's like it's been,
and that's
because players that are worth a damn don't want to play in them.
Right. We saw that. Because I would say 2016 was kind of the last year before everyone's like, we're done. We're not going to risk our NFL. And that goes back with Josh McCuistion stuff too, where the players also see like OU, they may have lost the playoff, but they're putting guys in the NFL, especially on the offense.
Yeah, quarterbacks yeah, they might lose the playoff, but like Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray went like number 1, and he got Jalen Hurts drafted in the 2nd round. I want to sign up for that. And so, and you know, Rattler is like everyone's starting to write off Rattler. And again, the season's still young, so he's probably not going to go number 1 overall, despite the fact that the quarterback class potentially for next year's draft is not very deep at all. So who knows? Like, he might still go, if he has a strong finish to it, he might go 1st round still. But I don't know if he's going to go like, you know, no, he ain't going to go like top 5 at this point unless something drastically changes. But yeah, it's like we're putting guys in the league, and defensively, I think this year, guys like Benito is going to be a 1st rounder. Perrin Winfrey needs to start making some more plays. Can potentially still be a 1st rounder, but I don't know about that. I don't know about Isaiah. I can't say 1st round. Benito as a pass rusher is just highly graded, like weekly, as like one of the best. Winfrey needs to do a little bit more. But like those are the 2 guys that I feel really comfortable right now for NFL stock. But yeah, some guys there are players who don't give a crap about the playoff as much. I mean, they want to win, they care to an extent, but it's like, a lot of guys are going to play in the NFL. If you can get them there, like there's a row, it's like, okay, I can go here, I can be close to home and play in the NFL. Like, getting guys like Gabe Dindy is going to change that. Like, there's a foundation there of like good players on the front and guys like Gabe Dindy. Like, listen, I'm going to celebrate. Like, I'm going to act like I haven't been there before when Gabe Dindy verbally commits to OU. Like, my videos can be very silly and over the top and cheesy, and I don't care. You act like you did, like, yeah, I don't care. Like, I'm doing it for views and clicks. I don't care. But I'm gonna have, like, you know, Beethoven's 9th play. Gabe Dindy back to you. He's got a sign in December though. But still, he was at the A&M game apparently.
Hey, free ticket, man! Like, I give credit to those recruits who can get the free tickets.
I want to thank Mike. I want to thank Mike Leach for destroying any little hope left that the Aggies had that Gabe might change his mind. So, yeah,
they're just gonna hate us more and more.
Oh,
speaking of more and more, do you think they're gonna hate us next week because the best SEC rivalry game is gonna be played?
I mean, it's the best SEC rivalry to this day. I mean, it's been a 1-score game since 2014. I mean, how many SEC rivalries? Like, you would have to go back to Arkansas LSU for me personally. Like in the 2000s, that was like consistently one of the best SEC rivalries was Arkansas LSU. Every year it was a great game. But now OU Texas just, you know, like, my God, who do the refs screw over in that game? Am I right? If they're against both of us, I know people are going to ironically chant SEC on both sides. It's probably going to happen. There's nothing I can do to stop it, but it is what it is.
Just paint that SEC logo on the 25, fellas. That's all we can say.
Oh yeah, Big 12 will love that.
That'd be
Oklahoma runs out of the tunnel with SEC flags in their colors. Same with Texas. Instead of running out with the American flag, they run with an SEC flag. Like,
Bowlesby going to send a very strongly worded letter to both schools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Gavin.
Well, I mean, all I can say is that I'm already looking forward because it is finally Texas Hate Week, and believe it or not, and a lot there's been So there's been a lot of hate already because ESPN College Game Day has decided they're going to go ahead and go on down to Dallas, for College Game Day.
Someone got pissed at me in the comments when I made the video today talking about that, saying like, "How the hell are they not going to Penn State, Iowa, man?"
Well,
it's like,
hang on,
and they already said. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, if anything, like if I'm not mistaken, like I think the big noon kickoff, I think, is already over at that game.
Well, yeah, it's a Fox game. It was, I mean, it's just. I was talking with my buddy Eric Lopez, who's like, he and another guy they're obsessed with like future college football scheduling. It's like their thing for kickoff times. Like they love predicting it, and like the other night he said, by the way, it's like, they haven't announced game day yet, and the first thing I did in all caps, no chance, and then I stopped and thought about, okay, maybe there's a chance. Because my initial reaction, there's no way there. It's like my initial knee jerk is like, there's no chance. That is a Fox game. Okay, maybe there's a chance. Because here's the thing with game day historically. If it's not ESPN's game, it doesn't mean they won't go. They were at Wisconsin Notre Dame a couple weeks ago. Granted, it was at Soldier Field, and they were on opposite sides. Like, I was hoping for like a rumble, like an Anchorman between both.
I thought it was Wisconsin Penn State. Man, I've slept.
No. Wisconsin Notre Dame.
When Wisconsin Notre Dame, both ESPN and Fox were there for their pregame shows. Like, there's been Alabama LSU games where game day was there, but it was on CBS. But they kind of they got like a cordial relationship thing because of at the SEC. So, like, you'll see, like in the off seasons in the past, you would see SEC games on CBS aired on like ESPNU and stuff like that when they'd have like the summer, like filler content. Here's great games from last season that were on CBS. So it's not out of the question that they could go to that game, but you also have to consider the fact that, what game was Fowler and Herbstreit going to call? And if it was like there was a possibility they could have gone Nebraska, Michigan, but Elo told me that like Fowler has been wanting to call an OU Texas game for a while. Like, he hasn't had a shot yet. Like, this will be his first chance. So Fowler and Herbstreit will get to call that game. And I think it's a great atmosphere to be in. And so,
okay.
I have a dumb question though, really fast. I have a dumb question. Do you think they also picked it because this could be like Lee Corso's kind of like last go for OU Texas? Because he's getting on in years, and I was thinking about that where he maybe only have a handful left at this point. Maybe he wants to go. He likes OU Texas.
It's possible. But here's the other thing, and I just want to bring this up too, because like the last time game day was there was, I believe it was 2018, and that was still a Fox game, by the way. And the last
but they didn't have Big Noon at that point.
No, they didn't. But I was just getting to
Big Sunrise kickoff. Woo-hoo.
Because I'm just gonna say this, like, and I'm just kind of going back to probably 2015, like. 2015, it was on ABC, ESPN. 2016, it was on Fox. 2017, it was on ESPN. 18, 19, 20, all on Fox. And then now this is like the first time in like, I think like 4 or 5 years that's finally been back on like ABC/ESPN at this point. So a lot of it has been where, Fox over the last couple of years has really kind of dedicated themselves to basically do the game.
Well, it's not that they dedicate it per se. Like there's like a draft process for the networks
Right,
Like,
right.
There's a complicated draft process where they will certain networks will have first choice within the conferences, and like I need to get Eric to like explain it one day. It's fascinating, but there's like certain games like that networks will grab immediately no matter what. Like if ESPN can get Ohio State, Michigan, they don't care if they're 0-12. They will get Ohio State, Michigan. Same thing
Because
for
it has
Fox.
the
Like,
numbers. Yeah.
yeah, it will always draw numbers. Like Ohio State, Michigan will consistently draw numbers. It doesn't matter what the records are. They don't care. People watch that football game. So Ohio State, and Michigan are big number teams.
Texas is a big number one.
Yeah, OU Texas is on there. So like like a lot of big Penn State, they love the whiteout games. They will. That's why Auburn as an alternate Penn State.
That was the one I was thinking of as Auburn.
Yeah. So they like ESPN loves the Penn State whiteout games. They're great visually for broadcasting. They love those stuff. So, but yeah, like it's just been other priorities have taken precedence, and because I mean OU Texas this year is not the biggest marquee game, not even close, but they're both ranked. Texas has one loss, and Texas, there's a feeling Texas might be turning a corner a little bit. They got Casey Thompson at quarterback, Bijan Robinson. They're starting to try to trickle in a little highs. I've seen some Heisman hype for Bijan. They're trying to trickle in there because if you have a big game on Saturday, here's a new challenger appears for the Heisman. It's Bijan Robinson. If he runs for 200 yards, all of a sudden, this could be one of those years where you don't have the best player on the best playoff team win it. You could have like an RG3 type of Heisman winner. Yeah. So they're trying to. Bijan Robinson's fun. Let's see if he can run 200 on OU's defense. That could be fun. So like I've already seen it like sprinkled early on. Bijan hype. So
yeah, and the sportscasters, let's be honest, they want to be at those games, just like with Baker and Mark Andrews or RG3 against us. They want to be the one to call that. Plus
you're coming off the epic game of last year as well. So
where it went like to 4 overtimes last year.
Not anymore, because you wouldn't have the same format, because as of overtime number 3, it's like 2-point conversions.
I thought it was 2.
Yeah.
Starting in overtime
3. Yeah.
Yeah, starting in overtime number 3.
I thought they changed that, didn't they?
No, they did. They did. That's what they changed it to.
Yeah.
Starting in overtime 3, it's like 2-point. It's alternating 2-point conversions.
Let's be honest, they absolutely hated the LSU A&M game for going for 7 because they lost that ad revenue.
And I'm going to want to mention out the too. Don't forget about Ed Orgeron being in that cold Gatorade, for 7 overtimes as well.
Oh yeah, because they thought they won. They thought they won. And they dumped it on him. That's right. I remember that.
Sucks to suck.
Well, that's
not only. Yeah, he basically was like cold throughout that game.
Orgeron about to get his ass fired too, because Brian Harsin's not in any risk because he just got hired, and he had a lost to Penn State on the road, but had a close call. Like you lost to a team that got taken to the wire by Georgia State. That's what happened to LSU.
Yeah.
So, oops. Sounds like Joe Brady was the real reason you won that national title and not Ed.
Yeah.
And he got his ass whooped by as a coordinator by Dallas today.
Yeah.
How about them Cowboys? God, they look good.
Get the parade going. Speaking of OU Texas,
the parade will begin on Maine.
Speaking of OU Texas, though, since it is OU Texas this week, now Gavin, if I recall, you haven't been to an OU Texas, but Sean, I know you have.
Yes, I have. I've been to a handful of OU Texas games. I have a losing record, unfortunately. I am 2-2. Or am I? Hang on, like 04, 9, 10, or is it just 3? I'm trying to think. When else did I go? 05. That's right. 05. I keep forgetting I went to 05. Ugh. Yeah, that was fun. So yeah, losing record. So 04 and 10 are my 2 victories. So, but
you gotta go with me.
500. So
I'm 3-0. I have not experienced the shame that my dad has told me about.
Well, yeah. Well, it's a long walk out of the Cotton Bowl, especially when you're backed up and you're trying to walk down the ramp to get out or whatever. Depending where you're at, it is a long wait and a miserable existence when you're just standing there. It's like, yep, we lost the biggest game of the year that everyone cares about. Damn.
Yeah.
Then you gotta get out of the fair. Then you gotta get to the parking lot, and then you're stuck waiting in the parking lot, and then you shouldn't, but you turn on sports talk radio, and you're miserable hearing the sports talk radio talk about your loss and people calling in, and just like, ugh, it's not fun. It ain't fun at all. But when you win, it's great.
Absolutely, it's one of the best things ever. I attended OU Texas 2000 with Dad. 2011 as a student and 2012 as a student. Though my best tickets ever were from 2012. That was great. 50-yard line, row 25. Fantastic tickets.
And so you witnessed an ass whooping in the best possible seats.
Yeah, and I was next to Texas fans who were cussing up a storm. It was great. They're like, "Why can't Mac Brown do anything right?" I'm like, because they thought it was going to go a different way when they did that field goal block. The extra point block, and
they took it back for 2 points. We got 2 points. That's the way it's going to be. And it's like, yeah, that was pretty much it for the first half. You got 2 points.
Yeah, it was an ass whooping. That's the best part. Is I always enjoy us giving them the big old ass whooping, which I don't know if that's going to happen.
Nobody's gotten an ass whooping in like 7 years. Like nobody's gotten their ass whooped. So it's like, I mean, if you want to, 2013 Texas kind of whooped our ass to an extent, but like not to what we did in 11 and 12, but. It's what makes this game great lately. Like, whatever the ranking is, nobody's gotten their ass whooped in this game. So and I feel the same thing is going to happen this week. Like, no one's going to get there. Like, it would be hilarious and wonderful if OU clicked this week and they just whooped Texas. Like, they shut down Bijan, which run defense they can. But if I'm Sark and I say, I like what they did with Deuce Vaughn, we're going to do that with Bijan. That's my game plan. If I'm Sark, like, I'm not going to hand you the ball, but we're going to pass you the ball in certain get you out in the flats there. Let's get you out let's get you one-on-one with some of them running backs. I bet we'll have Casey drop back and you'll be a little drop down pass there and get you in the open field and see what you can do. That's my plan if I'm Texas. But I love the matchup potentially with our D-line and their O-line because Texas might be the worst O-line we've played against since Tulane, potentially. It's just like, and they have like one of their 6-year super seniors at guard. One of their better players of the O-line got hurt in the TCU game. His status is unknown, and they had to move a bunch of guys around just to figure out how to keep that O-line upright. So, unless they figure something out, unless he can play, that O-line is even more vulnerable. And
do you think they're going to feast?
Well, Isaiah Coe is in a boot, so that's one thing to be a little concerned about. I don't expect Redmond to play unless something magically changes because they said 3 or 4 weeks for him.
It's been a while.
Coe in a boot. We'll see how that goes. I'm sure all these other guys will try to go. But linebackers got to play better. That's all I got to say. But like Joshua Ellison is going to be available. You got to get who's like the true freshman D tackle we got this past year? He got in there a little bit. We'll see what he can do. 2021. Who was it? He was the one who cut the promo that I really liked. I feel so bad. I'm looking up his name.
Gavin, since now you haven't, like I said, you haven't been to OU Texas unless you've told me before. What's your favorite memory then, at least from OU Texas, like watching it at home? Like, what's your favorite game you've watched? While I'm thinking about it.
Okay, man, I have to really.
Kelvin Gilliam. There we go.
Oh, nice. There's been a few games that I've that I've always remembered and everything. I've remembered the butt whoopings in 03, 12, 11, and 12. I mean, those were always good. But I would say, for me personally, I would have to say my favorite game as a fan, I would have to probably go back to 2017. And I think it was after, I think we lost to Iowa State. That was probably one of the best games I just remember watching.
Yeah.
And it was just a game to where I felt like, I really felt like, the Sooner Magic was getting ready to happen, when Baker took to the field, and, that play happened with Mark Andrews with the game-winning touchdown. I think that was probably, the best game for me personally.
A lot of time left in that
Man,
game too. Still,
No,
still a lot of time left, and I was like, "Well, he made that play. Can we hold on?" And they did.
Just a little bit too long. What about
That's what they put. That's what they put Ellinger out there with a concussion, though.
mhm.
with spaghetti brain?
He threw the ball away on 4th down.
Yeah. Of course, who can ever forget about the famous, and I'm just saying, and I just remember, I went crazy with CD Lamb in 2019. I just went berserk because, I mean, I just wondered how many tackles did he break in that game personally? Because
Well,
it was like
A lot.
There were like at least 3 guys who could legitimately make the tackle, 4 to potentially 5 if you want to get really crazy. He made it look so easy. That's the scary part. It just looks so natural for him to do that.
I mean, he was like, and I'm just saying, it wasn't just that one play where he avoided like that 4 tacklers and everything. He also had like another one to where he basically tiptoed in for a touchdown as well. To where I think he avoided like 2 or 3 tacklers as well.
Yeah, that was on the Texas side of the field. I remember that too.
Yeah. So
it was just so natural for him to do that. It was like crazy.
He was like a man possessed in that game. He really was.
We don't have anybody on the roster like that right now, but those are like rare beings. those are rare players. So
for you, Sean, from the games you've attended, what's your favorite memories for OU Texas?
Oh God. Well, I saw Peterson run for 200 plus in 2004. So that kind of like
yeah.
So that he kind of, when he made like that big run from deep in our own territory, and like Michael Huff was the one guy who stopped him from like running for like almost 90 yards. God, I wish he could have broken that tackle.
That was Pearson's breakout game, wasn't it?
It was his breakout game.
I mean, it was his breakout game nationally. He played. I mean, he had put up like 100 yards pretty much every game up until that point.
But they weren't expecting that because he was a freshman.
Well, I mean, he was the number 1 player of the country. He had a lot of hype. He played well. It was like Bowling Green and Texas. He had some big plays against Texas Tech, but this was like the top 5 game. This is 2 versus 5, and it was a big game. And all of a sudden, he's just mowing. He's just running over people, and he's still young. He's still a pup, and he's little loosey goosey with the football at times, and instant replay was not available back then. Jason White like threw a pick when we were driving down to score, and like the ball clearly hit the ground, and our side of the field was not happy with that replay when we saw what happened. And it was still a close game. It was 6-0 still in the 4th. Like one play by Vince Young or somebody changes everything, or Cedric Benson or whoever. And thankfully we marched down to their side, and Kiwan punches in the go-ahead, not the go-ahead, but the game-winning sealing score, because the way that game was going, it was not going to happen. And OU looked like a team that could win the national title. And they didn't, but and I remember driving home with Dad, because our game was on, and then right afterwards was like USC Cal.
Yeah.
So USC was number 1. Cal was like also up there top 10 or close to it. They were, and Aaron Rodgers had 1st and goal from the 10-yard line to beat USC. If I could change one play, Aaron Rodgers gets a touchdown in the end zone and we don't play USC. We might play Cal and Aaron Rodgers for all we know. We might play Auburn. Like, honestly, if that happened, it would have been such a weird, like, you still, because Cal won the rest of that was the only game they lost. They won the rest of their games,
Right.
and they got left out of the BCS because Mac Brown was in the same situation with Cal, and he politicked after they beat Texas A&M like convincingly that year. Like, he was like, it's a shame that like potentially the number 4 team in the country won't play in a major BCS bowl game. He politicked live and he got his wish.
I mean, yeah, he did. You told me the stories and stuff for that.
Cal and that Cal was so pissed they got sent to the Holiday Bowl to play Mike Leach and Tech, and Texas Tech just like rolled them. And Tech rolled them. So it would have been interesting if it was like OU and Cal in that Orange Bowl. And if Tech, this is a different era, if Tech rolled them, you're telling me Jason White and Adrian Peterson couldn't do that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, go back and change one.
Do you
go
think
back and
Cal
change
would
one
have
play.
gone, or do you think Auburn would have faced us? And do you think the result may have changed?
It depends, because Cal would have beaten the number 1 team, and Auburn kind of came at. Auburn was kind of like out of nowhere. I mean, Cal would have been too. Auburn's problem was that Auburn getting left out was really like the point where the SEC pride went to 11. That's where it all started. I mean, there was always this chanting SEC. That was always there, but it jumped to 11 when they got left out, because you were going to screw somebody over at the end of the day. And
well, that was the BCS. I mean,
and so, because the problem was the preseason AP had SC1, OU2, and their 2 picks went undefeated. The AP was not going to change their vote. We picked 1 and 2, they went undefeated, and they have done nothing to make us think otherwise. Auburn, sorry. It's like you weren't part of the plan. You weren't part of the preseason picks. That's just kind of what happened. And Auburn, unfortunately, didn't do anything spectacular enough. Alabama was garbage in 2004. LSU was still like, LSU was the big win. They beat LSU. Big win. It was like a really like low scoring game.
Yeah.
But Florida was in the Ron Zook era. So Florida was kind of I mean, you had Mark Richt, Georgia. I think Auburn played like Tennessee that year. That was like a Tennessee SEC title game. So Tennessee was still. Tennessee was at the beginning of the end of Philip Fulmer. So the SEC was, SEC was kind of mid, to all due respect to them. LSU was good and Auburn was kind of good, but the SEC didn't get like the hype. It wasn't like mid to late 2000s good like everyone claims. So I don't know. It would have been interesting if we would have played Cal that year, and if like, who knows, like Aaron Rodgers is still a good quarterback, but like who knows how that would have turned out. But getting back to Texas stuff, I mean, I was at the 2009 game, Bradford's last game as an OU football player because of injury. He got hurt again. And so that happened. Game day was there. It was the one time I went to game day. Game day was there, and it was like it was weird because they were in the fair, and it wasn't that crowded like you see at campuses. Like, it's insane at campuses, but at the state fair, there were people there, but you could get a little close and see things. Like, game day is a lot bigger now than it was in 2004. It was still big in 2004, but not quite what it is now.
Oh, no, see, game day was there, I think, in 2011, and
they were there at 11 because I think Texas they were undefeated still at that point. Texas,
they keep them kind of like, they'll keep them in front of the Cotton Bowl, but then it's like the crowd can be there, but it's not an on campus. It's a little bit different setup.
Yeah, it's a different feel.
Yeah, it's more like basically like, it's like, a television crew's there for the game. It's not really a college exciting atmosphere. If anything, it's more of a different. It's just not that doesn't have that same atmosphere like you would get at a college. If anything, that's the
Fun
only
fact,
thing.
Gavin, when you bring up the television crew and stuff at Sooner Vision, that's the one true complaint they have about OU Texas. They hate going to set up to that and taking down because of how old the stadium is. They're like, can we just bulldoze it and put the Cotton Bowl like a brand new one? They hate transporting gear in there. They hate loadout. It's a pain.
Like the locker rooms are super tiny. Like it is like a high school level locker room.
Yeah, they hate it so much.
And both teams have to come out of the same tunnel.
Well, that's
just
part
makes
of
it fun. Yeah, that makes it fun. I'm talking just a pure
Texas gets hate every year.
I mean, hold on. I mean, I'm just remember, doesn't the Michigan Stadium have like the same issue as well, where they come out of the same tunnel?
Well, their tunnel is like in the middle of the like the sideline instead of like in an end zone corner. That's kind of like where they come out of.
Yeah,
and you got that stupid little banner they jump up and tap.
Yeah.
The illegal booster banner, as I like to say.
Yeah.
Oh, look, 100.
Go Blue supports you.
I was thinking of some of the OU Texas memories because the 2000 one, I remember that one. That was, 20 years ago at this point, almost
21.
21 years. I remember going with Dad to it. It was rainy. I do remember that, and I remember the fans it was insanity.
It was 10 versus 11, and basically, it was the Quentin Griffin pounded in, show that was scored like 5-6 touchdowns that game.
It was an ass whooping. Yeah. I remember the 2011 one as well. That one I remember because of Dom Whaley, his run. That was incredible to see him.
Lawton Kid, by the way. Lawton Kid.
I know Dom. You go back to 2000. I like the Rocky Calmus pick 6. That's kind of like my favorite.
2000, yeah.
I like that. The other game that I went to the last time I went there was 2010. That was DeMarco's senior year.
Oh, the Mutt Hunt.
Well, there's that. Like I didn't know what the hell happened. Like James Winchester is like a hero till the end of time, and he can do no wrong. But like the awkward DeMarco tiptoe down the cross and like the most awkward, and he was able to get in. And I just remember all I was doing was staring at the ref. I saw DeMarco, I was like, "That's great," and I was staring at the ref, and then he went. I was just staring at the ref, waiting for his and it just took him a second. He's like,
"Yeah,
okay, he's in."
I think
I love that highlight.
I was trying to think of there was another one. It was 2012. What was his name? I can't think of it, but I was on the sideline when it happened, so we didn't see it until
his name is Blake Bell. Okay, Josh, he's really good. The Belldozer.
It's not Blake Bell. No. I can tell you that, but no, it was on our side. We didn't see it because it happened literally in front of me. Huh?
It wasn't
Damian. It was the video game move where he ran and pushed the Texas guy to the side. It was our tight end.
Trey Miller. Trey
Miller. Like, is he on your flag?
Yeah, Trey's on my flag.
Oh, well, you're disqualified for not remembering Trey Miller's name. You don't have rights to the flag anymore. The fact that you didn't remember the name of like one of the greatest plays made against Texas in OU football history disqualifies you from owning that flag. So,
man, I hope you got that in writing.
I mean, they're the rules that I just made up right now, and they're legal. So,
well, everybody gets.
You forgot Trey Miller's name, who made like one of the ultimate bitch slap move to a Texas football player.
Well, what was funny was we didn't see it in front of us. The other side did because it happened about.
You go back and watch it. You hear the crowd do a collective "oh" because they're like.
We didn't see that. The other people did though, because for our view of it, he just looked like he just jumped and bolted. But then when the replay started was when the crowd exploded on it.
He hurdled and stiff armed.
The OU side, but it happened on. Yeah.
And I want to add this too with the cherry on top. The Texas bench got a flag because I think like one of their ball boys or staff, basically was on the field and the ref basically like ran into him, and that basically got the ball closer to the goal line as well.
I mean, he went out at the 3, so it was like it got to the 1.5. Like that was the only downside. Is like he didn't score. If he would have scored, it'd been like the greatest touchdown ever. But
like I was close to that Texas Island. I remember vaguely somebody getting a phone call. I saw the red phone pick up. That's as much as I remember from that. But it looked like someone was getting an ass chewing after that play. I have a picture of it. I just remember that. I was trying to think anything else from it. I mean, Landry Jones lit up 2011, 2012. Those were the two big ones that come to my mind. Was Dom's run, the 2-point block, and the where I was sitting, of course, and then the Trey Millard jump.
Well, we had Brad Nessler called 12, and Brett Musburger called 11. So
yeah,
with Herb Street.
Musburger also called 13 as well.
Oh yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
That
was a game where it's like, did we really just? I was like, well, 13. I was like, did we just really lose this game? Damn it! I can't believe we lost this game. Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm afraid of about this week. It's like, did we really just lose this game? And it's like, but but you know what? It's like, it's different because usually Texas comes in with a loss or two for one of those. Did we really just lose this game type of things?
But Texas gets up for this game though.
Well, I mean, this is year 1 for Sark, so we'll see how he handles it. So
I think if anything, and this has just been my biggest issue, I think that a lot of eyes are going to be on number 5 for Texas. You know, that's just going to be the whole. That's just going to be the whole narrative. Yeah, I think is going to be the whole narrative this week. Is, you know, can Robinson, you know, dominate for the most part? But the other point, like you were talking about too, I am. You know, because you were talking about this earlier in the year with like that offensive line earlier this year, Sean, about the with the Texas offensive line, you know, with him running the ball. You know, I feel like if anything, this is going to be, I think, the matchup to watch. It's going to be that run defense against Robinson. That's going to be the one matchup I would love, you know, see how this defense will handle at this point.
Well, I'm not concerned about the run defense aspect. I'm more concerned about getting him in the open field and like Casey Thompson, you know, running around and trying to make something happen. Like that's what I'm more concerned about.
Yeah.
Like Casey Thompson handing off the ball to him and trying to like run for 200 yards. I don't think is going to happen. You have so like any defense, like he's put up a bunch of big yards against Texas Tech and TCU, but Arkansas had a pulse on defense and was able to hold them to like under 70 yards. So you can shut him down running the football, but that was Hudson Card at quarterback. Casey Thompson adds a little and here's the thing, like to some Texas typers have been trying to hype up Casey Thompson. Listen, is he an upgrade over Hudson Card? Sure. He wasn't great against TCU. They did enough to win. So like Casey Thompson is gonna, like, if he has to drop back and pass, like that offensive line for Texas, whether they have, you know, their 6-year senior guard back or not, that's gonna be a challenge for him. Nick Benito and, you know, Reggie Grimes and Isaiah Thomas, like those guys are gonna get after them. So that's the battle. If they can hold them off, like if they can't win that battle, Texas has no shot. They have no shot whatsoever. But if they can hold their own, and you know they can put some tape on the windows, and you know they can put some bubble gum or whatever they need to do just to hold them off long enough. They have a shot. But if this OU offense starts to click the way I think it can, and what we've seen lately, I mean, I think it's going to go whoever wins this game. It feel like Texas. I mean, OU is favored by 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's a toss.
I want it to me. It feels like whoever wins this is going to win big. It has that potential. Now, I think the defense for OU has to make some plays. They have to score points or put the offense into a position where they can't not score points, pretty much. Like kind of like what Grimes did, forcing the fumble, and then Benito picks it up and takes it back down. And then it took like, just an insane, like hilarious, like, fumble miss, everyone calling for Caleb Williams. He took his eyes off the football, and that's what happens. So
I feel like, and this is going to be where, like these last several years, and I'm kind of going, like we've gone back to, I would say like 2015.
Yeah.
It's been a one possession game, to where it's either make or break your season. That's just kind of where it's been the last several years. I mean, look, you can talk about with all the stuff with Herman and everything else, that went on and everything, but this is a game that you do not want to take lightly for sure. I feel like this is going to be one of those to where it's going to be that one play that's either going to make or break the season. That's where I feel like at this point.
I think it was for more make or break for Texas. It wasn't make or break for us. It was just a reality check for more than anything. And for us, it was just more of, we have that catastrophic loss, and now we got to play perfect up to the Big 12 at this point.
Well,
I think that's the same way.
No, yeah, you want to win this football game. You have to, like, you don't want Sark to get any kind of momentum.
Oh, absolutely.
You want to win this football game, and because not only you have game day there, you get Fowler, Herbstreit a second time. So if you can like for OU this season, if you can take the positives from last week and you can like take the next step this week, when Texas is again. They're trying to make Bijan a darling for the Heisman. All little seeds are getting all the storylines are being planted, and if they blossom into something, see, like we said a week ago, so you want to like stamp that out as quick as possible if you're Riley. So this is a chance for OU, like national stage. You're the only game on that people are going to care about. People might watch Arkansas, Ole Miss, but they both got their asses whooped. So have fun watching that if you really care. OU Texas is the game people will watch. It's the one everyone's going to have their eyes on. So this is your shot. Like, oh, Oklahoma's been struggling. Oh, Spencer Rattler sucks. Oh, this is the moment. I'm not saying you get back in the Heisman race if you're Spencer Rattler. You could, because I don't know who's the Heisman front runner right now.
Jimmy Stevens. I'm joking from many years ago, but yeah, there's no Heisman front runner.
Is it Bryce Young? Because I don't think it is. Because I mean, he's in the conversation, but he ain't doing anything to light the world on fire right now. Bryce Young got Heisman hype for the Miami game.
Do you think it's more of just because right now it's just there's nobody else? If it almost feels like
no, there's nobody right now who's like
or a Robert Griffin here, where there's just nobody.
And that's why I bring up Bijan, because like the seeds are being planted for Bijan Robinson. If he has a big game, he's going to shoot up big time quick. If Rattler can have a big game, because here's what happens if Spencer Rattler has a great day, and I mean a great day. Well, all those OU fans who booed Spencer Rattler, when you really break down all the analytics people will come out. You see his numbers, he has some really nice stat lines. He's only thrown 4. He threw 4 picks, but look at the situations of interception. Everything gets dissected at that point. So you see, this is the Spencer. See, now we're seeing the Spencer Rattler we loved from last year. Like one game can change all of that. I'm not saying he's going to win the Heisman this year because of this, but if he does play like Spencer Rattler, and here's the thing I've always brought up about the Heisman. Here's one thing that people are forgetting.
And you're right on this. I want to preface before you say you are right. You are absolutely right.
So he was the preseason favorite, but and he fell off a cliff. But Heisman winners need stats. Number one, you got to have some numbers, and he'll get his numbers over time. You got to have a moment, and if he has a big game this Saturday, that will be his moment for now, because there's always room for more moments, but they like to pick one, but this could be it. What's your story? My God, Spencer Rattler, the preseason, and then all of a sudden, his team had a rough start, still won games. His own fans booed him at their last home game. They were booing him. And what does he do? He goes on the road and beats Kansas State, a team that's beaten them 2 years in a row. And then he catapults that into the biggest rivalry game of the year and leads them to a big victory. And now this Oklahoma Sooners team, combined with this defense, looks like a playoff contender, looks like they can win the Big 12 again. And now this, with Fowler and Herb Street calling the game, I can hear Herbie say, "This is the Spencer Rattler we thought we would see. This is the Spencer Rattler that led them to a Big 12 championship. This is the Spencer Rattler that we were all hoping to see." And can he carry that on? This is the moment for him. This is the moment for this team to do that. Now, granted, and it sounds like, it would take a Herculean effort to do this, but not really, because they're planting the seeds for Bijan a little bit, but then someone else takes the spotlight. If he makes the plays he was making against K-State, going out of the pocket, throwing the darts, making the big plays when they can, even if it's a close game, and he makes those darts, like just last year's game to Drake, all those plays, some of those passes he made to Theo. Wish we had Theo right now, but we don't. But all of a sudden, the script gets flipped. And boy, again, what a story that would be. Gets booed by his own fans, still wins the Heisman.
Well, and don't forget too, Sean, what the most important thing you've said it on the live stream, and it's very important to say here too. September Heisman's, or you don't crown September Heisman's. This is kind of the time where that happens. And what you said, he just needs his story with it. We've had a month now of him struggling, and now it could turn around. And who knows? He could be the Heisman front runner after this game if something big happens. Who knows?
I wouldn't say front runner, but it puts him back in the conversation. If he has a big game, he has to have a big game, and he has to have a moment. He's got to have the moment and he's got the right two guys like calling the game to have the moment. So. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. So, and everyone's going to be watching this game too. So now, will he have a big game down the road? I never thought I could potentially say undefeated Bedlam in Stillwater is technically a mathematical possibility, but it is at the moment based on how this year has started. If you would have told me that we're going to get to October and both in Oklahoma State will still be undefeated.
And that's I do want to come back to OU Texas in a sec, but that's something interesting too. Is I've picked against Oklahoma State pretty much every week they've played, and they're you
weren't wrong to do that. They've gotten out of the skin of their teeth too.
But they're winning too. I mean, they put on I'm not going to say they put on a show against Baylor, but they took care of business against Baylor, who lit it up against Iowa State.
Spencer Sanders is still terrible, but
absolutely. But I'm impressed that they took care of business and had and that's something I've been saying too, even with the K-State game, and I will give credit to Oklahoma State as well. They're playing the full 4 quarters of football. We can't say that about us right now, but K-State's doing the same thing too. I give them credit that they come out there to play.
You're gonna love this. Gabe Eichard said he had too many penalties, and one of them put his team in an awful position yesterday, but Tyrese Robinson is OU's best offensive lineman right now.
I was going to ask you that. I don't agree with that. I think Murray is.
No, I don't agree with that.
Really?
Alan Kenny quote tweets him 3 minutes ago. I'm definitely not an expert on O-line, but I think Robinson had his best game on the O-line yesterday. I'm not. No, he did. Penalties suck. I get you that, but no, you go back and watch, he's the reason we were able to run the football a little bit too. Both on both ends, him and Wanye. So again, penalties suck. Not gonna, but yeah.
On a whole, though, do you think he's the best player right now? Same thing to you, Gavin. Do you think he's the best player as well? Yesterday is one thing.
No one is but the bar is so low for this O-line at the moment. So
it's really hard to say who really stands out on the line.
If we're talking about run blocking, I'll give it to Wanye right now.
Yeah. But
Wanye made a difference. Like Anton Harrison, I don't know what the hell happened, but that dude is just. Anton doesn't look like he cares at times, and that's scary. So, again, offensive line recruiting is still good, and whoever, like the Jake Taylors and all these guys that we're getting coming in at some point. I mean, it's a lot to ask potentially, but I don't know. I'm not saying we're gonna have a bunch of true freshmen, but we're building for the SEC at this point. So I'm happy we're still getting quality guys, but
exactly
we're in the running for Devin Campbell and Cam Dewberry. So God, that's gonna be great if we get both of those. Cam Dewberry sounds like we can get him.
Yeah. Well,
despite all of the horrible things that have happened to OU football this year, recruiting is still really good. We don't have any wide receivers for 22, but I have a sneaking suspicion they're just going to portal a couple guys at this point. I don't think they're, if they can get someone, great, but you're at the point where it's like, I'll just portal two guys, like, because the 23 class is insane when it comes to talent right now. It's just ridiculous how good 23 is.
It's going to be a top 5 class. Maybe top 3.
Yeah.
I don't pay
top 5. It might be number 1 with if we get
I don't
LT.
pay attention. I know that's a little bit away still though. Like
no, like if we get LT, seriously, if we get LT Overton, this is going to be the number 1 class. Like you're going to have the number 1 quarter. You're going to have the number 1 quarterback, like 2, 3, 5-star receivers, and you're going to have the number 1 defensive lineman in the country.
Yeah,
it's setting up to be pretty
well, and that's
big.
Well, and that's something you mentioned, Sean, and I was thinking about this last week on it, and I think it was Red Dirt or Joe who actually said it, where they posted a number about where all the recruits are going. They're staying in the SEC and they're staying at home. If OU is going to start in 2023 for it, like they're staying in the Alabamas, they're staying in the South Carolinas, they're staying in the Ohio States, essentially. They're not wanting to go to the other ones. That's going to be good for us as well, especially if we start in 2023.
Well, no, they're not. That's not necessarily true either. We're picking guys out of Florida left and right at the moment. We're taking some high quality kids out of Florida, like if we could get him the ball. Mario Williams is one guy. Gabe Dindy's a Florida kid. And granted, he has OU ties, and we always had a shot with him regardless. But still, we're going into Florida and picking people. Like look at the big time programs in Florida right now. They ain't doing shit right now. Florida State, Miami are garbage. The Gators got lost to Kentucky, and that was the best team last year. 11 days. The last time they played, it was 11 days ago. Dan Mullen. That was their best Florida team under Dan Mullen. They had a ton of talent on that team. They had a shootout with Bama, couldn't win at the end of the day. Came close, but. I think I think Dan Mullen is peaked at Florida because
I absolutely agree on that.
Everyone who's you think USC has problems. I mean, there's plenty of talent down here. Believe me, I live here. There's plenty of high school football talent. But OU's going down here and getting guys too. Like Brandon Ennis is another guy they went and got. So again, like having that magical SEC logo on your jersey in a year or two, like guys for 20. I mean, guys for 22, it's like, okay, even if I have to, because like, there's no guarantee you're going to play your first year anyway. And even if they do, okay, 1 year in the Big 12, they don't care. That's cool because they're going to be a freshman anyway. And most of the guys we care about on that level are going to be linemen, and they're going to need to redshirt or take a year to learn the system, and they'll be ready for 23 when we get ready to play SEC play against whoever. Like in the 16 team pod system with like 24 team each, however they want to do it, or if they want to do divisions. Like that's still the big mystery of how that's going to get figured out. But no, it's like the big area for us, the big winner for us is like in-state recruiting for Oklahoma is pretty solid right now, but we can take back the state of Texas very easily because that's one thing that was holding us back because we were not only fighting against Texas A&M because of the SEC thing, we were also fighting Texas for certain guys because they were the state school that everyone had to stay and play for, and even they would get some quality guys. And the one guy, he wasn't an in-state kid, mind you, but like I'll get back to him in a second. But how many guys did we miss out because, I want to play for Texas or Texas A&M, and because going to Oklahoma is not going to be different, but we would win some battles, but there were some, man, I wish we would have gotten that guy. There's one guy they got out of Arizona that we should have had, and he's playing this week, Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
Jay Boulware, I hate you, Jay Boulware. You suck. Jace McClellan was our guy, and we lost him at the very end of Bama because Jay Boulware didn't do his damn job, and Jace McClellan got hurt, and so he's out for Bama. So, but Bijan wanted to go to OU. That's what sucks about all of this. Bijan could have very, very, very easily become a Sooner, and
wasn't it look because at his Boulware didn't follow up?
Well, we weren't trying to get anybody else at the time because we had Jace McClellan verbally committed. And the hard lesson you learned, don't cut communication off with anybody just because you think you have your guy. Always keep talking to someone. And what the thing is, if you look at Bijan, if you go look him up now, on Rivals, it's like he's a 5-star. Why would you cut off a 5-star? He didn't get that big bump till very late. He wasn't a 5. He was a 4-star, and people were interested in him, mind you. But he didn't get that 5-star rating till very late in the process.
Right.
And it's you see what it could have been. You see what last year. Now you see him now. It's Bijan F. and Robinson would be our starter back. So I hold Jay Boulware got fired, and rightfully so for it. Riley was pissed. We could have Bijan could have been an OU running back, and because he wasn't tied, he was an Arizona kid. We had Rattler, so it's not like we could say, 2 Arizona kids in the backfield, Rattler and Bijan Robinson. But because that's the only thing keeping Texas afloat right now is Bijan. You can tell me about Casey Thompson all you want. I know he's an Oklahoma kid, and I'm not ripping on him. I know he's I'm not going to play that game. Happy for him. I don't hate him. I don't have any ill will. It's nothing about that because I don't think he's a great quarterback, or anything. He's okay. He's a solid college quarterback. Yeah, they passed on him.
Yeah, out of Newcastle, yeah.
Losing Bijan hurts based on what we're seeing now, so especially what we need at running back. But regardless, next year at running back, we got Raleek Brown and Sawchuk coming in. Javante Barnes, we're still waiting on him, but so
that's one thing I will say I'm happy about from last week is he committed to the run. I'm very happy about that because magical things happen when the run works.
Well, they were begging us to run. They were telling us to run the football. They were running that umbrella defense, and it's please run the football. Please, or do something creative where you get guys open in space and to make things happen.
Yeah,
Sean, go ahead, Gavin. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think if anything else too, where I think this is going to be the big thing for me is that I feel like we might finally have at least we'll have a good click on this running game now too, and I probably said, and I know I probably repeat myself though too, but if we can get that run game going against Texas, I think we have a pretty good shot. Because I don't know if you guys know this or anything, but it's whoever runs the ball well, I feel like the last few years or so, that's whoever wins the game.
I don't know. It's not just the last few years; it's literally every year. You go back in the history of this game, whoever runs the ball better wins. It is not. I mean, you could say that about almost any football game, to be honest. But for this game specifically, whoever runs I think there was one year offhand that OU might have won, and they had fewer rushing yards. It may have been one time, but you go back and look at box score. Who ran the ball better? They probably won. 99% they won the game. So,
and OU has that chance this year.
Well, I mean, it's just they got to get creative with the run. They got to get guys running the football, the open field. They got to get their playmakers the ball. They got to find a way to get more. Listen, another thing that we don't talk about with this Texas game, that secondary is vulnerable. It's vulnerable. Excuse me, it's vulnerable. Texas Tech was able to drop bombs on them. So beating Tech 70-35 is cute and all, but it means you gave up a bunch of points and yards too.
Then again, when is a Texas Tech defense ever good?
Exactly. So I expect them to do that. So this is the best defense that Texas has played all year. So Rattler has not.
And to throw that in too, this is probably we've already, in my opinion. Okay, feel free to disagree. We've already
disagree already.
Okay, we've
No,
already played our best defense so far, and it was West Virginia. Texas ain't going to be rivalry. Everything aside,
I guess
was a better defense.
Sure,
Well,
I guess, but
problem is that the West Virginia offense, though, is I
Sucks.
just don't know about that. We just haven't had that sort of offense, to where maybe other than that fluke game with Tulane and everything, because right now Tulane's sort of gone, nowhere.
Tulane's gonna beat Ole Miss. Yeah, whoever said that stupid.
So
just a moron.
No judgments. No judgment.
Yeah.
There's no judgment in this household.
Listen. That was a different world we did, where we hoped it was just an outlier game or something or whatever. But no, we were just terrible. No, but just can we take advantage of some one-on-ones on the outside?
Yeah,
with with Mims, with anybody.
And Mario Williams. Yeah.
Mike Woods. I
Stoops
would love.
is going to get out in the open. We know that.
Yeah,
happen.
I would think, if anything, I would say at this point, I think, and this is going to be a player I would love to see break out, because he's been very. I know that most of the receivers really haven't seen much. I think this might be a game for Williams to shine if they play him correctly. I really have that gut feeling, because
I've been waiting for that for a while.
Well, because it's like I look at this game and I feel like this might be the game where Williams might, and this is just where I feel like this might be it, to where he can break out, because we've talked about, and we've seen flashes of it, to where he has that Hollywood Brown type of speed. I just really think this might be the game that he might just break out.
I mean, if this is the game that Riley's going to open up the playbook a whole lot and use it, it's this game. I mean, in my opinion, he finally opened it up last week, but this is the game to do it.
Yeah.
Although razzle dazzle.
Although I will say, and this is, I think, the one player that I really have enjoyed, and I've kind of been listening to. I don't know if you guys have ever listened to it on this podcast. It's called it's called the Podcast on the Prairie, where Jeremiah Hall, Braden Willis basically do a podcast each week and everything, kind of talk about their own takes, personal life, and have some of the other players on there. So I would recommend listening to it. But I think, if anything, like Jeremiah Hall, has been been such a good versatile back, for OU, the last couple of years, to where he can probably do pretty well, and I think he's actually going for his MBA at the moment.
Credit to Jeremiah Hall. For whatever reason, I don't know what the reason is with Lincoln on it, why he doesn't trust. And I'll defer to Sean on this one of running backs 3 and 4, but Jeremiah Hall seems to be our number 3 running back. So,
yeah, and until he ain't putting walk-ons in games that matter. It's like I took a few sips of that Kool-Aid before the season started, but it's like you haven't done it yet. You've yet to do it, and I'm not going to believe it. Like the reason those guys go out there is if they absolutely have to. Guys are hurt. Guys can't play. That's the only reason you'll see Knowles or Hudson out there. Yeah. So, or if it's like a blowout, like it's Western Carolina FCS, that's the only time you'll see them out there. I am more convinced of that than ever. So
they're there just for show.
Braden Willis will get a carry first at H-back before he will put those guys in there.
He's gotten a couple receptions. They were just going to be
extra blockers. So
he's gotten a few receptions already this year. So I know, granted, they're not touchdowns, so too, but he does enough to where they kind of keep the ball moving at points. If anything, that's kind of where I've been looking at it so far.
It's like knock on wood that Brooks and Gray can stay healthy the whole season.
Yeah. I will say this. Yeah.
This is the game where you're going to get dinged up. Regardless, not necessarily injured, but you're going to feel it the next day. That's just how
Yeah.
this game is. So
Yeah, I've got to tell you, I really love that little sweep with Jeremiah Hall for that little touchdown run that he had. I really love that play call down there.
I mean, it's similar to what he did with like Jordan Smallwood back in the day. So it's just I like him rolling out like down by the goal line and him being wide open for Rattler. Like I love doing stuff like that. So like he got his first rushing touchdown in that game on Saturday. He got some he had a bunch of receiving touchdowns or whatever, but like first rushing the ball.
Yeah, Jeremiah Hall reminds me of Trey Miller. That's what he reminds me of more than anybody. He just has that sort of playmaking personality.
I don't think he's that good. All due respect to Jeremiah Hall, I like Jeremiah Hall. I think he's a solid contributor, but I can't put him on Trey Millard level. Like there's like
he's
for me
right now.
Like to me, Trey Millard is like the best H-back we've had, and then below him, I'll put Dimitri Flowers because he's a little more versatile. He's like not as big and strong, but like Millard, the load, as like Bob used to call him, he's like I put like he made plays. Like he was a playmaker like type at that position. Jeremiah is a great utility guy. I wouldn't consider him a playmaker. You go by like I think Trey Miller, I think guys like he's like I put him in the same caliber of like when it comes to that, if you want to call fullback, H-back, whatever, I kind of put him up there with like Lydell Carr, like back in the 80s. Lydell Carr was a guy who you could get the ball to and he can make plays as a fullback, as a lead blocker, whether you hand him the ball or whoever's going to be your running back back then. Just Lydell Carr was a beast, and he scored the game sealing touchdown to win number 6 against Penn State. So I'm big retroactive Lydell Carr fan, even though I've only seen him play in a handful of games. Lydell Carr was great.
I think thinking about it, though, I think we've pretty much exhausted everything about the OU Texas. They just got to go out and play. I only have one question for you, Sean. What is your favorite, because it is OU Texas for it, favorite fried food from the state fair?
Oh, well, if I was there, I don't get the fried food or the Oreos or Snickers or whatever, or not even a Fletcher's corny dog. Like to be honest, I don't think I've ever eaten a Fletcher's corny dog at the fair. Now that I think about it, I know that's like, blasphemy and all, but like I'm a Belgian waffle guy. Like that was my tradition. I've said it multiple times. I get Belgian waffle with the works, powdered sugar, whipped cream, and strawberries. It is a mess. And like, you're there, you're wearing like red OU shirt and everything. Get the powdered sugar. It looks like you just came from. I just got off the plane from Miami. Ha! But yeah, like, because the powdered sugar is everywhere. But yeah, that was my go-to. Like, I became a fan of it because like Dad and I discovered, Belgian waffles. Let's get Belgian waffles. So that's and we went on to beat Texas in 2004. So it's like, all right, we come back again, Belgian waffles. That's what we're doing.
I absolutely agree with you. You recommended it to me when I returned to OU Texas in 2011. Got one every year since then. They are good. My usual go-to is caramel apples, because whenever it was me and my sister, and my dad took my sister to the state fair, I would hang out with Mom, and she would get me a caramel apple. That's usually my go-to, and then as well as a funnel cake. Those are usually my go-tos.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had a corn dog there. But we have corn dogs now at the stadium, so I don't need the Fletchers there.
Yeah, like you get a Fletcher's corny dog at OU now because, why make it special for OU Texas? You can just hire a truck to come by and you can get the taste of OU Texas at OU now. So
okay,
exactly.
Nothing wrong with that.
I know, right?
I do want to ask you guys this, and this might be a question for you, Josh, but would you prefer driving down there, or would you want to take that train down there to Dallas?
Driving, 1000%. Taking the train takes like 7 hours. No. I want to have the freedom to drive there. I want the freedom to be able to get back in the same day. I also want the freedom to like actually go around town, not the train.
I obviously, if I've ever went, I've flown in and I got a rental car.
Well, you live out in Florida, though. That's a different story.
But everyone would, back in the day, everyone would tell me, "Oh, you can take the Dart." I'm like, I've heard nightmare stories about that thing breaking down. No, thank you. I'm not taking the Dart ever. I heard the nightmares. No, never again. I will drop a few $100 for a rental car.
Yep.
If I have to.
Not worth it. Not worth it. Like the thing is a lot of people too don't realize you can get your car pretty protected in like the gated area and stuff. It's not.
Oh no, I'm not worried.
As
I was
a
never worried
place.
about that, but like it's just.
Oh, I can't
remember
tell you how many times in my undergrad people didn't want that. So.
Oh no, I stayed at the my palatial suite at the Red Roof Inn by DFW, and what sucked was I remember one time I think I want to say it was the last time I was there in 2010. Like the next day, my flight didn't leave till like late afternoon, so I was kind of stuck there. Thankfully, it was after a win, but I was like, I was supposed to check out in the morning, and I was able to convince, hey, my flight got delayed. I'm supposed to check out. Is there anything help me out? I was like, yeah, we'll give you a rate that we give to pilots or something. For like, okay, I'll do that. Fine. I just don't want to leave and just hang out at DFW for 6 hours. So
yeah, it's
because I was literally right there at the airport, literally there, but I didn't want to like leave the comfort of my room. So
yeah,
I had my old
I
laptop
understand
back
that.
then.
Now you got the good one. So what, Gavin, for this weekend, what's your prediction?
Oh, I think this is going to be one of those games to where I think it's going to be somewhere around it feels like a 40-35 game at this point. That's where I feel like at this point.
You are giving our offense a lot of credit, but 40-35, Sean, what about you?
I don't want to give up 35 points. We're losing if we give up 35 points. No, I can't. Like, I have no idea. Like, I need to know who's available first because we're gonna get our fake injury report on Tuesday from Riley.
And then
one where he tells you it's not going to happen, just like
Jay Turniel will play this week. He'll be fine. Bullshit. Like
Riley,
I need to know. I need to know if Turner Yell's playing. If Stutzman's going to be if Stutzman plays, God help, please let Stutzman play. He's not going to start, mind you, but having him out there just as a wild card to make a play. Need Stutzman back out there. We need
Turner Yell.
I already said Turner Yell. Like Woody's not going to play for a while. Redmond's not going to play. Like someone was trying to speak into existence that Redmond would play. He ain't playing.
No,
he's out 3 or 4 weeks. It's only been like a week, 2 at most.
He ain't playing.
I don't expect him back to like Kansas if he does play Kansas. So
yeah. But what's your score prediction for this weekend?
11-0, whatever. I just want to win. I don't have a score prediction. It's like
that's me at this point.
It's pointless to give a score prediction for this team. Like, I mean, it just is.
I agree. I'm gonna throw out my score. I think it's still gonna be 30-20.
They're gonna win 42-17. No, I just want to win. I just want to keep my hat. Not this hat. I want the golden hat. Like I don't handle life very well without my hat, my golden hat. Like
it is our hardware.
It's
rightfully ours.
Listen, like there is nothing that gives me more pleasure when I edit my Twitter avatar to the one that has the golden hat. Now I stopped myself today. I was gonna change my avatar to the one where he's wearing the golden hat. I said, wait,
too early.
It is absolutely, and I stopped myself because, like, I'm not gonna jinx it. I do not put on the hat on my avatar unless we win. And because it's always fun to like update it when we win. So check out my new hat. It's always fun to put that. And I leave it up for about a week. And then then I'll take it down and then we'll get ready for the next game. So, and then when we lose, and if we lose, I just play that clip from Nickelodeon's Doug where he goes, my hat was gone. I feel totally useless. That's
so what you're telling me is next week you're going to be the Golden Hat Raptor versus the Red River Raptor. Possibly.
I changed it to Red River Raptor for right now because that when I changed it, that's when I was in the process of uploading the avatar.
Yeah.
Very important. So
it's going to be a game this weekend. That's
I don't want to be Doug Funny. I want to be Mr. Pilkington wearing his new golden hat.
Exactly. We want to be winners. We want to be
Exactly.
winners.
Mhm.
By the way, before we close everything, how's your channel been, Sean, with your live streams? Have they been okay?
Crazy people show up there. I get a lot of bots. I get crazy people who scream that say the defense is terrible. That are very emotional people. Yeah, it's been fun, but
Yeah.
yeah, doing those is you have to be patient with people, and I try to let people go for the most part. I don't like
Yeah.
I don't over moderate, except when people start saying stupid crap or stupid shit like, God, I wish Rattler would get injured. That's why I just perma block you, and I don't think twice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had to,
No.
and I literally like stopped watching the game. I was like, I don't care who you are, how long you've supported me, you're just perma blocked. I ain't putting up with that garbage.
Yeah.
There's one guy who shows up every week, and he screams about the defense every time there's like the opposing team gets a play on offense. God, it's just like he just loses his mind. Then he started going on, this team's a bunch of losers on the sidelines. Like, okay, you're in timeout. I'm done with your crap. But anyway, the point is my channel is growing nicely. I'm about to hit 9,500 subs. So I would love to hit 10,000 before October ends, and we have a ton of football to play this month. I'm hoping the Kansas game is 11 a.m. kickoff because I have AEW wrestling later that night. I have jury duty potentially the day before that, and hopefully I will walk there and they will tell me that they don't need the opinion of a late 30s white male for their case, and I will gladly just stick around for most of the day, get paid my $15 and go home. Get it in the mail, of course, because that's how government works. And yeah, that's kind of like the plan right now. But yesterday was big. It was fun. Like every game has been fun outside, even Western Carolina, because people are looking for the game to watch. But every game has come down to the wire. It hasn't been boring. No game's been boring.
True. That's
I'm hoping TCU is boring or Kansas is boring. If Kansas is not boring, we got a problem. But if we win on Saturday, as a fan base, not the football team, but as a fan base, I think we can breathe a small sigh of relief because we'll have TCU at home. We go on the road at Kansas, then we host Texas Tech, and that will be our month for October.
Yep, and then we get our break.
November's the bitch.
But we also haven't made it undefeated to November in quite some time too. So there is, knock on wood.
We've been undefeated in November for a while. So
yeah. No, I mean I think he was talking about getting to November.
No, I heard that part. But if we get to November undefeated, we also play very well in November. Like we don't lose in November. We're just like really good at it. So
let's see. The last time
we get superpowers.
I think the last time that we've ever gotten that point, I think was probably back in 2004. I feel like.
Yeah.
That's what the last time that they've been undefeated into November.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Because it's like ever since then we haven't been undefeated, past the month of October.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. So, Sean, Gavin, I want to thank y'all for joining me again for this live stream. Everybody, again, comment, rate, subscribe. Make sure you check out Sean's channel with it. He does the live streams every Saturday for football games. And at least according to Dad, I think he's turned in twice so far. He enjoys watching you on there for it. He's like, how do I create an account so I can comment? I'm like, that's going to be an in-person thing. So, but he's enjoyed it. I think
you got to set him up a YouTube account so he can shout expletives at me, and he can scream at me like everyone else does.
hey, if they pay you with a super chat though, hey, you'll take all those streams you want.
Listen, you don't need I have my Venmo and PayPal up there as well. So
there we go. See, multiple options.
Hey, I have triple options.
Hey, so again though, thanks for joining, guys. Thank y'all for all tuning in, and we'll see you next Sunday, same time, same place. We'll see how we go.
All right,
y'all
I'm gonna go watch.
Evening.
All right, gonna go watch my Gay Witch cartoon.
Have fun. Boomer sooner, guys.
Mm-hmm.
See ya.